I feel euphoria every single day. It's incredible, amazing. Everything I perceive with my senses is absolutely beautiful. Being under this tree, the gray sky, the leaves on the ground, December, and every time of the year, of course, as I've said in different videos, all of creation. And not the way that people say life is beautiful and then somebody gets beat up and is bleeding on the ground and they will go and say, stop, life is not this way. Yes, it is. Or it's inhuman, another brainwash. I'm talking about accepting all of creation, absolutely everything that nature has to offer. That is true happiness. I talked about the spiritual side of it about 3 years ago in the video Happiness and Loneliness. Back then, when I wasn't eating raw, live foods filled with light, the highest vibrational foods, which are raw animal products, back then I didn't realize the connection between food and the physical kind of happiness. And when you combine the spiritual and the physical, you feel as good as any human possibly could. And I believe that humans always felt this way, the way I do now. And I also never realized that happiness is visible in the eyes. Janus van der Planets is one guy who was probably happy, and I can only judge this from videos, but there's people whose eyes are filled with so much light, are vibrating at such levels that you can simply see that they're happy. And there's very little people that I've met in real life who are this way. The problem with the physical side of this is that the main cause for depression is a high carbohydrate diet, because it, as I've said, makes the body sticky. That is the blood, the lymphatic system, the nerves. Plus, it will always cause hypoglycemia. And another thing is protein deficiency. These things combined are the main cause for depression and the problems of modern society. Nature punishes you for starving yourself. People never used to do this on purpose. Nowadays people are brainwashed into starving themselves because of quote-unquote healthy diets. But back then it was meaning that you are not a good hunter, for example. That's when nature punished you. 50% of our cell membranes are made out of saturated fat. This is why it is impossible to feel happy physically on a low-fat diet, which is why most of those people commit suicide. Then again, even without that, they die about 3 times faster than natural people. When life is a game to you, it's understandable why I perceive a lot of things differently. My whole outlook on life is simply different. Topics that people talk about nowadays are either not interesting for me, or I'm not able to take them serious. When you go through life understanding that the 9/11 planes were not real, yet everybody believes it, and you understand how gullible and manipulated people are, and then when you look into nutrition and you understand that even though we have all been programmed by nature to know what we are supposed to eat, people still get cultivated into eating something else. And 400 years ago you would have been called crazy if you believed that the earth is round, and nowadays people who believe that the earth is flat are called crazy. So you understand what I'm talking about. All of this changes the way you see life. What I've learned in this time is that people do not like it when you're not serious. This whole society is based now on being serious, and I'm not able to, for the most part, except if somebody attacked me, maybe. When I talk to people, I usually don't take their topic serious, and I joke a lot. And my humor is also very quote-unquote dark, if there was such a thing as darkness. So jokes about decapitated babies and all that stuff, this is because of all the things that I mentioned. To me, a lot of things don't have meaning or are a joke to me. When talking about work or so, it's all a joke to me. And people's perception is that it's serious because it's their serious life, and this is why people get offended by that. When you combine this with ego death, which is more or less what I experienced in my near-death experience, and just absolute confidence is another thing that people don't like, then you move far away from this modern humanity and become really quite distanced from it all. So this is why life is the way it is for me. Confidence is not something that people like to see nowadays. They usually call it being superior, but that's because nobody understands what confidence is anymore, because insecurity is all around us. Just look at all the selfies that people do. It's all such a joke.
The people who trust the government, I mean, that means that they've done no research because they're afraid of the conspiracy theory title, which was put in there by the CIA. There's paperwork, look it up. It's a psyop that everybody wants to talk about. That's the kind of thing that a psyop is. Not, let's make a psyop where everybody thinks that everything we've ever done as a government is incorrect, and let's make a psyop saying that their education is bullshit. That's the complete opposite of a psyop. That's exposing fraud. That's exposing people who have lied to you for 100 years about everything. They've tested on human beings with every kind of drug you can imagine, with mind control. Look it up. There's evidence all over the place. They sweep this stuff under the rug. They rape little kids. They steal them from their families. They take them from people. And people say, oh, there's a general distrust of government. You're damn right. You're damn right. When you look into it and find out about the Tavistock Institute, look into our government and, the Montauk Project and, all these things, it is insane. Just look at the Operation Paperclip. They went over to where everyone talks about, oh, the Nazis, terrible doctors, look what they did in these concentration camps. We just brought them all back, put them in all our colleges, and had them start NASA. And everybody, I trust them. I trust NASA. They're really on the up and up. These German scientists who were into dropping bombs and who were into testing on people until they were, scraps. That's who you're...
Not to mention the psychological operations that they were into.
Right. Oh, and yeah, you just have to look into our media. If you don't understand that our media is controlled, then you've never done any research. They've been controlled. It's out there. It's not like it's a hidden thing. That's what I mean by it's not a conspiracy theory when there's evidence that every single media company is owned by basically the same people. They give you your news, and imagine how easy it is. They're able to put out the narrative.
Even back when I was little, my mother thought that I'm an indigo child or something. I also don't feel embarrassment for pretty much anything that I do, which goes hand in hand with being confident. And being told that you're intelligent and all kinds of stuff, of course, helps. Anyway, another thing that I've learned is that people are going to believe whatever they want to believe, and you're not going to change their mind. Most people's perception of this life is set in stone already, usually influenced by other people, which they may not even realize. And it's not as if you're supposed to do that anyway. It's more likely going to make you miserable for even trying. People are not interested in following nature's law when it comes to their life. As this is especially true when it comes to nutrition. I used to spend time with this group of people who used to serve plant-based meals, and I generally have experience with these kind of brainwashed people, and they were more interested in quote-unquote, and I'm talking about huge quotes, animal rights. And that's the joke of all the jokes, because it goes exactly against nature's law, these man-made rights. So the reason they do not look into nutrition, and none of them ever did, is because it would destroy their perception of the whole thing, of their diet and whatever they are doing associated with the movement. And this is all interconnected with the whole New Age thing, because then they would have to choose other lives over their life, because that's how nature is designed. It's either them or you if you want to be healthy. And they do not want to accept nature because they don't even want to look into it in the first place. That's the whole joke. And this is very similar to people who find out that there's people who believe in a flat earth. The first thing they're gonna do, if they are an atheist, for example, is to go look into flat earth debunked and then not look into anything else, just to confirm what they want to believe anyway. My experience with people who eat a plant-based diet is that all of them are depressed and insecure, which doesn't mean that everybody who does that, who you meet, is going to be like that. It really depends on their nutrition beforehand and their lifestyle. If you stored up a lot of nutrition, especially in your fat, it's going to take a while to run out of it, because we are not supposed to simply get sick right away. We are simply not going to feel our best when animal foods are not around, or, as I said, if you are a bad hunter, because if you're a good hunter, nature is going to reward you. And then you're going to feel amazing. Nowadays, of course, we don't have to hunt, but it's the same thing. If you go to the shop and get the same things, you'll feel the same way as nature intended. And I find it all quite hilarious. I really do. For example, the B12 deficiencies, seeing as we're supposed to get a lot of B12 all the time inside of us, if you research them, the damage that is done, even if people do start to eat natural foods, it's not reversible anymore. And there's a lot of people crippled for life. How are you not supposed to see this as funny? These are imbeciles. You shouldn't even bother with them. Bother with your friends and family. That's going to be a lot of work as it is.